James, Simon, here we are at Home Park, and there's been some very important and exciting news announced today. Perhaps you'd like to just take us through that, James, if you could?
Yes, certainly. We're announcing today that we have put in place the finance to build a new grandstand with a conferencing and banqueting facility. The new money's come in from Simon and his wife Jane, primarily in the form of a very long-term, very low interest rate loan, which is repayable over a 30-year period. So it puts very little burden on the club, and it enables us to crack on and build a new grandstand and conferencing and banqueting facility.
You mentioned a new grandstand, you mentioned a conference and banqueting facility. We'll get there right one day somewhere down the line. Just can we put a little bit more flesh on the bones of that one? You're not actually going to pull down the dear old Archibald Leach stand, are you?
No, we're going to take the better parts of it, which are the statement, the uniqueness, the statement that people have arrived at Home Park, and we're going to substantially refurbish that and extend it, expand it, and then put the conferencing banqueting facility on the back of it. So we'll also maintain the good bits of it, but the bad bits, like the sort of new facilities, for example, will be totally ripped out and new.
And Simon, the purpose of having a conference and banqueting facility, what's the thinking behind that? It's very important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's to generate revenue, to reinvest in the first team. I think that most football clubs suffer from the basic problem that their biggest asset is used for a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon once a fortnight. So the ability to have first-class facilities that we can generate revenues from to invest back into the first team is very important. I think the other thing about it is that Plymouth as a city has lacked these kind of facilities, and to some extent has lost out to other towns and cities in the southwest and the rest of the country. So I think this is a good thing for Plymouth, as well as obviously for Argyle.
And it's not just conferencing and banqueting facilities, not just the grandstand. There'll be other facilities as well for the first team, for the staff here. I mean, yeah. It will be transformed, won't it, Home Park?
I hope so. We're talking about a £5 million investment. We're not talking about a £50 million investment, so it's not going to be super deluxe. But I think it will be transformative for the players, it'll be transformative for the staff, and above all, it'll be transformative for the fans. You know, as we sit in the grandstand and look out over Home Park, it looks attractive, reasonably sized football ground. As you sit in the Lyndhurst, it looks a bit of a mess, and we want to make this a place that looks good, but also can provide the kind of services that I think modern day football fans quite rightly demand of the clubs that they visit.
James, you mentioned about the facilities bringing in revenue to the club. Now, what's going to happen to that revenue?
Well, all of the facilities will be fully owned by the club, and all of the money, every penny of it, will go back into the club. And that's part of that sustainable investment structure we've discussed, that will create a virtuous circle, hopefully, of a successful team driving greater revenues to invest in an even more successful team and so on. So that's the model we've talked about from day one, and Simon and I are absolutely sort of added in on that.
It is this key word, sustainability, isn't it, that really is underpinning everything you're doing.
Yeah, and Simon, like us, has been adamant that the investment should go into creating the revenue stream that's paying for the Argyle squad in 10 years' time, as well as this year. The idea of getting a bit of money and putting it into the club and blowing it in a year is really, really dangerous. We've been there, we've done it, we've suffered the scars from it.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about £5 million at the moment, and £5 million about your nice yacht, which you could sail down into the Mediterranean and sip drinks and enjoy the sunshine. Why have you invested?
I used to sail in a mirrored dinghy, really.
Okay. So why Argyle?
Yeah, as you know, I come from Plymouth. I think of myself as coming from Plymouth, although I only lived here for 8 years, but it's still where I think my heart is. I think of myself as a Plymouthian, as a Devonian, and as a proud West Country person. We fly the Devon flag from our house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Since I've been involved, I've got to learn more about how the club operates. I've got to learn more about how James operates. I obviously like that. I've got to know about how the people at the club operate. I've got to know the role of Argyle in the Plymouth community at large, which was something that I found attractive when we first made the investment, and I think we discussed it then. So this is mostly about Argyle. I won't fib about that. This is mostly about being a fan and helping support my club be more successful over the long term, but it's also about the Plymouth community. Plymouth paid for my high school education, Plymouth paid for my university education, and I've obviously generated a pretty good return on very high quality education, and I'd like, with my wife's support, to give some back.
You mentioned that you're supporting the club. Well, this weekend is a day when a lot of people will be supporting the club. On Sunday we play at Anfield against Liverpool, one of the theatres of world football, really. So are you looking forward to it, James? It's a stupid question, isn't it, really? How much are you looking forward to it, let's say?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it, but it's not just a day out. I think Derek Adams will be very, very focused on trying to win the game, which I think is what makes it so exciting. And it's a day, but this season is really all about trying to get promoted out of this league, and I think Derek is very focused on seeking to achieve it. So it should be a great fun day. It is probably less pressured than we're used to watching league matches, but it's not just a game we're going to turn up for. It's a game I'm sure Derek will and the guys will turn up with an aspiration to win.
Simon, I think you postponed your return to America to stay on and watch this game?
No, actually, I'm going to have to postpone my return when we get the replay. Look, I'm going to have a fantastic day out, and I share James' very sensible views about what we're trying to achieve this season, and I know that Derek will be wanting our team to win, but I'm just going to have a great day out. I really am. I cannot imagine a ground that I'd rather go and visit than Anfield. And I want to shake Jurgen Klopp's hand. That's my ambition for Sunday.
Excellent, Louis. Well, so all of us.